Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us. K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Morning Tailgate here on Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Crispy Bacon, here with Big B. How you doing today?
Hey, doing good. Just driving into work. Jump on, talk a little football, talk a little trade action. And again, Chris, congratulations on your Texas Rangers on walking away handily with the World Series title.
Thank you. It was a long time coming. Hopefully, it continues. We have the Prime Moose. Tim, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Excited to get this week started. It's been an up and down year. It's one of those years where we just can't answer any questions, and I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what this week's going to bring us.
It has been interesting, and we'll get into all of that with the moves, throughout the show and with the games. And we also have James Gonzalez. How you doing today?
Did somebody mention Crispy Bacon?
That's good. So to start off the show, Big B, you have our one tough question or a
Yeah, so I got one tough question. So we saw the moves. I think we could all probably agree that San Francisco came away with the Lucky Charms, the box of gold when they acquired Chase Young from I can't remember the team he was at. But anyways, with San Fran loading up and got this talent, when the contracts start coming up, is this going to be a bust team if they don't have more than one championship under their belt? Tim, I'll start with you.
Yeah, and I think it got brought up in our group chat that they're 80-some million under the salary cap, but this is the year where a lot of people all of a sudden contracts start coming up big. If they don't win I think if they don't win a Super Bowl this year, I think that I think there might be a bust team. It's with the roster that they've got, in the next 3-4 years, they should at least win 2 Super Bowls. But if they don't win one this year, I think they're a bust team.
All right, James?
Yeah, man, those contracts, CMC is, Christian McCaffrey's coming up, I think, after next season. So that's going to be big. It was a chore to just sign Deebo Samuel. Remember, he had to do what everybody does now and unfollow the team and then cry for what you want and eventually get it. Brock Purdy, you know what they should do? They should have 49ers should tell Brock Purdy, hey, play the way you're playing now so we don't have to pay you as much. So that'd be good. I think they're getting away with it right now because Purdy, he was Mr. Relevant. You don't get as much. So they're lucky that at quarterback right now you don't have to pay the premium price for one. And then, the defensive side, again, they had Bosa and he held out and he was giving them a hard time. So with all the Chase Young, though, he's often injured, but I know he'll be looking for a big deal. It'd be smart for him just to stay, and just try to win. But man, they should have went last year to the Super Bowl, but they had all their quarterbacks go down. This year and next year and the following year, if they don't win multiple Super Bowls, like you mentioned, it's going to be a gigantic failure.
All right, Chris.
It's gone.
Oh, Chris is gone. Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
mean,
So, I mean, for me, yeah, I agree. I think, yeah, they should have probably went last year, but yeah, if they don't get, one title with a couple other Super Bowl appearances, I mean, this team is definitely going to be one for the taking. It's considered one of our bust teams because they got all the talent there. And James, like you mentioned, I mean, Brock Purdy right now is probably the cheapest guy, the cheapest starter they have. And, when his contract comes up, what's he going to do? I mean, so yeah, they're definitely going to be looking at trying to get Purdy to play average so they don't have to pay that contract that much. So if Chris is back, Chris, your thoughts on the one tough question: is the San Francisco team going to be a bust if they don't come away with a couple titles?
No, there's a lot of moves. I think San Francisco, I mean, they signed the right moves, but it depends on if they can keep those players. Like you guys said, CMC's contract is up, or almost going to be up. And I don't know if they have all the right, well, not all the right players, but the right money situation to get all of that. So we'll have to see how it comes out to be, I guess.
Yeah. So, but hey, before we move on, do you guys know the longest tenured team since their inception into their league that has not won a championship? Now that Chris's Rangers have won their title.
I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a Vikings thing.
Yes, it is Minnesota Vikings, the longest team since their day one, by a few months too, because both the Niners or the Vikings and Rangers both came into their respective leagues the same year. So yes, Minnesota now is the longest team to not win a title since their first game. So, but guys, what about those trades?
Minnesota came in at 60, and I think Minnesota came into the league in 60, and the Rangers came in 61.
They both came in 61 because the Rangers were the longest tenured team. So, but anyways, moving on to. But guys, what did you guys think of the trade deadline? I think it was pretty active myself. So, James?
Yeah, obviously the 49ers got better defensively. Washington just said, screw it, we're not going to be competitive and get rid of the best two edge rushers. I did like what the Lions did, getting the wide receiver Peoples-Jones from Cleveland. He kind of got outed there because, they were going to other receivers. So that was a really good move. Again, you mentioned the biggest moves were made by San Francisco. And then there's one more I'll mention. Russell Douglas going to Buffalo. That really helps them. Green Bay, not going anywhere. It's an amazing story about Douglas. I found out about him where he, got onto the team, but he wasn't really, heralded as anything, and he worked his way up. And he's a great locker room guy, great leader. It's something the Bills need with all the injuries they have on defense. And they went out and addressed it. There were some teams like Dallas, surprisingly, that didn't go after anybody. Jerry Jones decided to hold pat for once and not go for the big item. Everybody thought receiver or corner, but they're just going to hold pat with what they have, and that was weird to see. And then the Patriots, I know we're going to trade players, but they ended up getting injured. So unfortunate ways for these for the Patriots and the Cowboys, I guess, to not go through the deadline with anything.
Tim, how about you? What do you think of the trade deadline?
And the trade deadline in the NFL is usually is the exact opposite of what what Major League Baseball is, because Major League Baseball, it seems like everybody and their grandmother is trying to make some type of trade, and then in the NFL, it's usually the exact opposite. And then this year was it was a lot more active, which I like to see, which I like seeing, and it was just it's fun. The one that kind of got me confused was Montez Sweat going to Chicago, and then the day later he signs a $98 million 4-year contract with the Bears. It helps, and it gives Yannick Ngakoue, the former Colt, a nice little running mate to go with on the defensive side of the ball. I think Mess Around brought it up about, what was it, Jalen Jackson, the corner for Chicago, not getting an extension, and then they bring in Sweat, and Sweat gets a $98 million extension. That could be positive, it could be negative. It just depends on how Jalen takes it. But I want to see this. Actually, I want to see the trade deadline pushed a little further back, more towards week 12, week 11, week 12. I think I'm glad they pushed it back from week 6 to where it used to be to now. I think now we're at week 8, going in right after week 8. I think later on would be a lot better, because then we've got you're going to have a more defined line between buyers and sellers at that point. I think you'd have a lot more action, and the NFL is an action league. So, and especially you get your name out there a lot into the NFL and away from the Taylor Swifts, but into the stuff that goes on and off the field in the teams. I think it'd be better if they push it back. But I was quite surprised, pleasantly surprised, that we had an active trade deadline.
Chris?
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Normally it's just, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 moves here, but this year it's, it was more active than normal. As far as the Cowboys go, I kind of figured they weren't going to do much. Jerry came out and said, we're good with what we got. We're not going to make any moves. Although sometimes he kind of goes back on that, but he kind of sat firm with that. But I like the moves that were made, and hopefully they turn out good for those teams.
Yeah, granted, Young going to San Fran just boosted their lineup. Yeah, plenty of moves made. I think, like I said, this is probably the most active trade deadline I can remember. Tim, I like your idea of moving back another couple weeks. Maybe around Thanksgiving time we could do that. But Minnesota went out and got a quarterback who I'm surprised that the Cardinals were shopping with their recent, I know Murray's coming back, but to let him go so cheap. And then Vikings traded one of their decent linemen who has a bright future to Jacksonville to help them out. But can we all say that the Lions got the receiver in Devontae People-Jones, I think his name was? If you guys didn't get the pun, that's a wrestling pun. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to head out. My focus team this week, James, I want to focus on your Raiders to see what they do after the big bombshells of firing and stuff, and see how they come back. And also, the Vikings are going to get a hall pass today, so they're going to use the hall pass this week. So we'll check you guys later. Tim, we'll see you on C2C Rankum for season 2 premiere this week. Have a good one.
Ooh. All right. So yeah, Thursday Night Football started out with the Titans and the Steelers. Steelers won that game, close game though. What was your thought on that, James?
Man, it didn't seem like Kenny Pickett woke up until the fourth quarter. Seems like a lot of games he does this, where the offense finally steps up late in the game. The defense did their job, but offensively, they waited late. Tennessee, you expected this kind of close game, but they didn't have enough, I guess. At credit to Pittsburgh, I think they're playing a little better than last year, where you could kind of trust them at home. Last year you couldn't. this year you can.
Tim?
Yeah, it was like James said, it was nice to see Pickett show up in the fourth quarter. Problem is, what the Steelers need is him to show up for the first three quarters. Um, I thought it was going to be a terrible Thursday night game because Tennessee hasn't played like they should be playing. Yeah, Henry got 75 yards and a touchdown, I want to say. And it's almost like they're leaning away from Derrick Henry. I don't know if it was the trade rumors or what all that other crap was, but to see Pittsburgh actually step up and play defense like that we've all expected from Pittsburgh, it was nice to see. But yeah, I was a little pleasantly surprised that was a closer game than it should have been, I thought.
Yeah, it should have been closer. I felt like both teams came into that game needing a win. Steelers got that win. Now Tennessee must win, I think, for a couple games. So if they want to keep up in the AFC South, which is your division, Tim.
Yeah. There's a couple teams in that division that need to win some pretty big games. Like Indy today is going to need to at least win this week and next week to keep close tabs with not only Jacksonville but with Houston, which has been pleasantly surprising. I figured they'd be a couple years off, but I didn't think that Houston was going to play as well as they have with a number one and a number four. The number one and the number three picks and playing like they have been.
It's going to be interesting, and we'll cover those games for that division. Other divisions as well. Second half of the Germany game just got kicked off. Dolphins with the ball. So we'll see what happens there. In our first early game in the afternoon window, Vikings and the Falcons. Big B has the Vikings. Dave has the Falcons. Tim, who do you got?
I've got the Falcons. I think we're dealing with a rookie quarterback against a pretty good defense. Basically, they're going to be relying on the running game until Hall gets his feet underneath him. I've got the Falcons, and it's going to be a tough one to watch. I'd like to see the Vikings win, but I've got the Falcons.
James?
Well, these are 4-4 teams that probably shouldn't be. Both have gone through quarterback changes. Taylor Heineke will get the start for Atlanta after Ritter was benched last week in Tennessee. And Jaron Hall will make his first start for Minnesota. So that's going to be interesting. I'm going to go... Jordan Addison might have a good day, but Atlanta, they got to get back to better defense, and hopefully they'll be more explosive offensively, run with the pass. Man, this is a real toss-up. I think I'll go with, you know what? I'm going to go Minnesota. I think they pull off somewhat of an upset today. Yeah, I'm going Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm going Minnesota too. I'm kind of been comparing the two quarterbacks, and I feel like even though he's a rookie, he's a rookie. I think that Minnesota can so next game we got is the Giants and the Browns. Big B has the Browns, and that is his lock. And then Dave has the Cardinals. So James, who do you got for this game?
Well, Deshaun Watson should be back against Arizona. Depends how long he'll play in this game. It's funny how secretive they are keeping his injury status and, and his playing status, but he's going to be playing. Expect the defense to get after the quarterback, the new one for Arizona. I forget his name. Oh, right here. Clayton Tune, the rookie, will get the start again. Kyler Murray not playing. I think he's waiting for the new Call of Duty uh, opening up in a couple or
Yeah.
next week. I think he's waiting for that, and then you won't see him again. So Clayton Tune will get the start. I don't think Kyler Murray again will play this year. I expect the Browns to easily beat the Cardinals today. I think everybody gets their stats defensively and offensively for Cleveland.
Tim?
The biggest head scratcher for me for this trade deadline was that the Arizona Cardinals traded Josh Dobbs to the Minnesota Vikings.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. I'm
Oh.
like, at this point, I thought you just ripped out the heart of the Arizona Cardinals. This was a guy that was this guy was the heart, I think, the heart and the soul of that offense. He brought so much out of that, and then you just let him go to Minnesota for what, basically a sixth rounder. God, that was so terrible. And then the other side of the ball, you've got a guy who if he sneezes, he's got a crink in his ankle. God, I just don't understand Deshaun Watson. He might be going for the, Kyler might be going for the Call of Duty, but I'm thinking that I think Deshaun Watson's putting his feet up until Black Friday at this point. Lord, I don't understand him. At this point, the only thing that's carrying that Cleveland Browns team is that defense, but that's a scary, scary defense. That's a 13-point. They're a 13-point favorite in that game, and I think it's going to be worse. I think it's going to be 21 points. I got the Browns.
Yeah, I got the Browns too. I was surprised that Josh Dobbs for Arizona was traded to Minnesota. I felt like he was the better of the two quarterbacks between Kyler Murray and him. But Cleveland has their struggles with quarterbacks right now, and it seems like Deshaun Watson's going to play. We'll see how long, and if that's still going to be the case. But I got Cleveland. Next game we got the Rams and the Packers. Both Big B and Dave have the Rams. James, who do you got?
Well, Stafford will be out for LA. It'll be, I forget who's starting, but it's
Brett
Rip. Yeah,
Rippon.
no, Brett Rippon. No, not
Rippon, yeah.
Rippon. That's right. A running game will have to be good for LA. Mix it up kind of with Nakua, but it's going to be short passes if there's any for the Rams. For Green Bay, man, this is a game Jordan Love really has to do well. Right now, he's not really passing the grade right now. I'm going to go Green Bay, but it's going to be a really, really, really ugly game, I think. Coming in, Green Bay's lost 4 straight. I can't remember the last time that ever happened. Probably since the 80s, I would guess, but early 90s. But I'm going to go Green Bay on this.
Tim?
Yeah, when I picked this game on Friday, it was pretty much Stafford was questionable. It was game time. That's long since changed. I just don't like the Packers defense, pass defense. You give away Rasul Douglas. I thought that was weird too. But you've got a two-headed receiving monster. You just need Brett Rippon to be a game manager at this point. I've got the Rams, but I think it like James said, I think it's going to be ugly, but I also think it's going to be close.
I got the Rams. I believe I saw. Where was the last team Rippon played? I can't remember.
Indy. I
I
know
thought
he
he
played
won.
in Indy for a little bit. I think he was a backup in Indy for a brief period. Brief. real brief. But Brett Rippon, where was? Let me take a look at it. I'll tell you where Rippon was before that.
Because I thought I saw him play one time, and I thought he was pretty good. Maybe not as a full-time starter, but like if you need him as a backup. I think he was in Detroit.
Denver.
Denver.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
that's right.
He started
He
with
bad,
Russ.
he did.
was in Denver. Yeah, he was in Denver a brief period.
I was trying to remember that right now.
Yeah, he wasn't in Indy. He was in Denver.
But yeah, I'm going Rams. Hopefully they can get back on track with him at quarterback, and I'm not sure how Stafford's going to feel in a few weeks. Commanders and the Patriots. This is an interesting game because of a report that came out, I think this week, that maybe Washington is going to trade for Bill Belichick. I heard that rumor going around. But Big B picks the Patriots, and Dave picks Commanders. So Tim, who do you got?
I am not picking again. I'm not picking with the Patriots, but it's really weird to pick for somebody who just traded away two people on defense. It's so terrible. They just let Sweat go to the Bears. They let Young go to the 49ers. Who do they got left on defense at this point? But then you get lucky and you play the New England Patriots, who basically have nothing either. This is going to be like the Rams Packer game. It's going to be ugly. I think it's going to be this. I think this is the ugly week. I think week 9 is the week of the ugly games. I've got the Commanders, but again, ugly. This could be a tie game. This is how ugly this game could be.
James?
Yeah, this is gonna be real bad. But I'm gonna go Washington. I think they have more offensive power. Maybe Sam Howell will stay upright to make some things happen. Patriot defense isn't that strong up front. Yeah, I'm gonna go Washington. I think they win more than 6 points.
I'm picking Washington as well. Normally, if like Brady was playing in these kind of games, of course you would pick New England. He's not there anymore. Washington's struggling, but I feel like they're the better team. So I'm picking Washington, even though they're a division rival. Bears and the Saints. Big B has Saints. Dave has the Bears. Tim, who do you got?
I've seen the Saints play. They played against us. If they can get the ball to Kamara could have a field day. It's just, yeah, I got the Saints. I just think I think it's as bad as the point spread says it's going to be, because they got Saints at 9.5. Nothing seems redeeming in Chicago. Yeah, they got Montez Sweat, but I don't know. Yeah, I got the Saints.
James?
Oh man, yeah, I got the Saints. I think they're just better talent wise, but man, Derek Carr has to play better. I want to see if Sweat can maybe get some sacks. We'll see if that's the case. I can see that Sweat having a decent game up front, but Carr has to let it go. He's got all those weapons. Sometimes it's either him or it's Olave that doesn't get on the same page. But yeah, they got to get Thomas and Kamara going, and I think that should be enough to beat the Bears. The Bears right now aren't playing too good of an offensive game. They rely more on their defense right now. I'm gonna go with Saints.
I'm with the Saints too. I got family in Chicago, or not in Chicago, but in the Illinois area, and they're Bears fans. Although I would like to pick them, they're not doing all that well, and I feel like it seems like no matter who you put in quarterback for New Orleans right now, because I think I saw Taysom Hill, I think, last week in the game at quarterback. So I think they're okay in any situation. I'm picking the Saints. Seahawks and the Ravens. Big B has Ravens, and Dave has the Seahawks. James, who do you got?
Man, this seems to be the best game of the first slot of games. Um, Lamar Jackson, I believe, is 15-1 against NFC opponents, and I think that continues today. Go to 16-1. Seattle, man, if only their defense stepped up and then Geno Smith played a little better. He's going back to his old self in a way. But they got to get the rookie JSN involved more. I don't know, what's going to happen with DK Metcalf. Defense is somewhat banged up for Baltimore, but I think they have enough to win offensively. More Jackson going to Andrews, that's been a good tandem there, and I expect that to continue. I think Seattle needs a lot more to win this, so I'm gonna go with the Ravens in this game.
Tim?
Yeah, I think the defense for Seattle needs to step up against against Lamar Jackson and that Ravens offense. The defense is good enough to stop. The Ravens defense is good enough to stop Seattle, even though they're banged up. But I think in order for Seattle to win this game, Geno needs to start playing like he did last year. They really need DK to be on the field for that to happen. If one of those two don't happen, the Seahawks don't win that game. I know they're first in the West, which is weird. We'd be saying that about the Niners, but they lost 3 games in a row. I've got the Ravens.
Yeah, I got the Ravens too. Ravens have a good defense. They have a better offense than they did last year. Maybe it's because they changed some of the plays. I'm not sure, but I got Baltimore as well. We'll see how Geno Smith in Seattle does. If they can win this game, they need it, even though they're in first place. So it should be an interesting game, I think. Another interesting one is Buccaneers and the Texans. Big B has Houston. Dave has Tampa Bay. So James, who do you got?
Man, I'm really having trouble with this game because offensively, Houston will be without Damian Pierce, their good running back, and then Robert Woods as well will be out. So they lose a little bit of that. That means they're going to have to go with number 15 more often over the middle. Blinking on the receiver's name, but he's been really good for Houston this year. The Bucks, Baker Mayfield's been playing a little better, making some things happen out of the pocket. Buccaneer defense a little banged up, but they're still good. I'm going to go slightly with Houston. But man, I think this will be a really, really close game with the Texans. I think Houston's gonna win at home though. They're gonna bounce back.
Okay, I had a rough time with this game as well, with this being that close. If CJ Stroud can find Nico Collins, I think Nico is going to keep them make them big in this game. And then you've got Stingley who's going to take over for Pierce. I've got Houston. I like Houston at home. I think the defense steps up big against the Buccaneers. They just have to keep Mike Evans under check, but that's always pretty difficult to do. But I've got Houston.
I got Tampa Bay. I think CJ Stroud's still a rookie. Baker Mayfield's been in the NFL a while. I feel like he can probably lead the Buccaneers to a victory. Both teams need it in their divisions. Tampa Bay's been playing okay the last few weeks, but I feel like for Houston, this is maybe a statement game. And speaking of statement games, as we head into the late afternoon window, the Colts and the Panthers are squaring off. Big B has Indy. Dave has Indy. Tim, who do you got for this one?
This was hyped as being one versus 4, and then 4 decides to get hurt. That sucks. But right now I think Josh Downs are Gardner Minshew's number 1 receiver, even though everybody likes Pittman. I like Pittman, don't get me wrong, but Downs is a game time decision from what I've seen. He loves going to that kid. That kid is going to be right now. If let's just say if Puka wasn't in the league right now, hadn't become a rookie, Downs would probably be leading the rookies in receiving. We've got a two-headed monster in the backfield with Zach Moss and Jonathan Taylor. Taylor's starting to amp up like we kind of hoped he would. Against that Panthers line, against that Panthers defense, it's going to be tough. If we rely a lot on the run, I think we'll be fine. We've had a nice little skirmish there that Shaq Leonard's not getting enough playing time. We only run two linebackers as it is with Shaq Leonard and Zach. What the heck is his name? Zaire Franklin. If Carolina's going to beat us, they're going to beat us by throwing down the field to test our defensive backs because we've been banged up pretty bad back there. I think the defense keeps us in this game, and I've got the Colts, and I'm going to do the ultimate sin to my team and give them the double whammy by giving them my lock.
Ooh,
Giving the lock.
Sorry, Sarge.
All right, James.
All right, so I know it's all year long. The defense, they've given up a lot, but the Colts have scored the 6th most points in the league, which is crazy to think, but they have. And that goes with the running game there.
Did you see that stat last week? I saw this stat last week that Indy's the only team to have scored 20-plus points in every game this season.
And guess what? The Raiders have only scored 20 once, and that was against New England this season, and they scored 21. So they barely got that. It's amazing because both teams are 3-5. Me and your teams, but I'm gonna go with the Colts. I mean, Carolina's coming off their first win, but they were playing a Texan team that they knew the quarterback basically. They knew CJ Stroud and what he struggles with and what they can. This is pretty much a Frank Wright Bowl. Even though he doesn't have the offensive playing calling duties anymore, he's still there, and I think he wants a little revenge against the Colts, but I think the Colts win this game.
I got the Colts winning this game too. I don't know. I feel like Carolina didn't pick the best quarterback. I don't know who. After Indy's pick and Houston's pick, I don't know who you would go after at in the later rounds, but they need a new quarterback. Indy, they're not playing horrible, but they definitely need to win. So that's why I'm picking Indy. Hopefully that can happen today. Giants and the Raiders. Big B has the Raiders, and Dave has the Giants as his lock. James, who do you got?
Well, as you know, it's been a fun week
It's a
in
rebuild.
Raiderville. Lots of things happening off the field. Nothing at the trade deadline, but McDaniels is gone. Ziegler's gone. The Patriot way is no more. It only worked in that one time. So Antonio Pierce, the linebackers coach, is promoted to the head coach position on an intern basis, which is fine. It's funny though because he played with the
Used
Giants
to
all those
play.
years, Super Bowl champion Giants.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's funny to see him, and he loved the Raiders. He grew up in LA here, and was a Raider fan back then. Just stayed a Raider fan. So I think the Raiders are going to play, free and easy, but hopefully with importance. I think there's a breath of fresh air without McDaniels, and you saw that all week long in practice. They're really hyped up. The locker room is kind of free and easy now. There's no more, oh God, he's here. Screw that guy. We all hate that guy, right? Yeah. It's all none of that anymore. It's kind of free, and everybody's gonna play well. The Giants, Daniel Jones, for some reason, will be back for them. Look for him to run somewhat, unless he gets banged up. Saquon Barkley should have a good day against the Raider defense. It's going to be a really close game. I think the Raiders pull out the win, but hopefully Crosby and company can get after Daniel Jones and don't allow any passes deep, but somehow stop the run. I wish that could be the case. They had a hard time doing that in Detroit. But man, it just feels like a rejuvenation. But now the Raiders just have to go out and win. So I'll go with the Raiders, but like every game, especially at home, they love playing at home. But all the games are really close, and we'll have that today in Las Vegas. So I'm gonna go Raiders win.
Tim?
I'd love to quote. I'd love to quote a tag team from the WWE about Raider fans right now. Um, it's a new day. Yes, it is. And
Mm-hmm.
for Raiders fans, for Raiders by themselves, it's. I think James hit it well because being a Raiders fan, you see like the weight of the world just off the Raiders fans by themselves, and you've got Antonio Pierce who knows what it's like to be on that field, knows what it's like to be on a team that has sucked. And he's gonna. The one thing that they say that's worse is the most dangerous thing out there is a team that doesn't give a crap. And this is a team that is at this point has nothing to lose. They've gotten the monkey off their back, as Steve Young would love to say. I think the Raiders are going to win, and I think the Raiders are going to win big.
I hope.
Going to the Texans, or going for a stat here. Somebody commented
my
on.
brother! What did my brothers say? Oh man!
He said,
Yeah, that happens. I mean,
he
the
said
Colts.
teams that fire their head coach mid-season win 100% of the time. True story.
Yeah, I remember last year with the Colts, they brought in Jeff Saturday out of high school and somehow beat the Raiders that one Sunday.
Should have left him. Should have left him in high
bad.
school. Should have left him in high school.
I know he was coaching, but that just sounded, kind of off. Yeah, we got him out of high school.
Yeah, some academy, and then he comes in and wins a NFL game. It happened to be against Josh McDaniels, and that one afternoon. So bad.
The only time a Saturday wins on a Sunday. Yeah,
Yeah. For this game, I'm picking the Giants. I hope the Raiders can win with the new head coach, but you're also starting your backup quarterback. You bench Garoppolo. And then you have Tyrod Taylor on the other side, who they placed on IR. So if Daniel Jones does get hurt or needs to be replaced, I don't know who you have as backup. I don't know their like third string, but
Tommy DeVito is the backup. He came into the game last week against whomever they played. I forgot.
Tommy
Washington.
DeVito. Tommy DeVito, the little brother, the little son of Danny DeVito. That's gonna be great.
I was thinking the same thing. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy game for that one. And in off the late afternoon, Cowboys and the Eagles NFC East matchup. Big B has Philly. Dave has Dallas. I'm going Dallas. Uh, I think the last 10 games, Dallas is 8-2. So we'll see if
Oh
that
yeah.
continues. I think everybody's relatively healthy on Dallas. Um, Eagles are trying to continue their winning streak at home. Not today, so we'll see what happens. Tim, who do you got?
Yeah, I'm looking at I think Philly likes home. They like eating the cowgirls up for dinner at home. Um, I think Bayard's going to really make Dak Prescott look over his shoulder. I've got the Eagles. I almost said the Cowboys, but I've got the Eagles.
James?
Oh, so Jalen Hurts, I know he had a really good game over Washington last week. But man, they were talking all week about a bone bruise or it could be worse for Jalen Hurts, and he didn't want to really talk about it in this week. Maybe see if that's a factor if he doesn't run as much, if they don't do the tushy pushy, or if they run it, or if they pass it, I should say, or go around the edge with it. So look out for that to be a factor. Maybe they air it out some more. Hurts stay in the pocket. Maybe that'll be the case. They go after that Dallas secondary. Maybe that'll be something to look out for. I can't wait for this matchup. I'm gonna go Eagles. I hope it's a really close game, but I hope it's a game where Dak Prescott makes it a shootout in a way where he can have some time and he can throw and he can do what he can do instead of throwing over the middle those lollygag passes that get picked off. Hopefully go down the sideline with those passes. That'd be great to see. But I'm gonna go Philadelphia winning this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a energetic road game for Dallas. Philly fans don't like Dallas, but I hope Dallas can focus mainly on that tush push, the brotherly shove, because I think that's going to be utilized a lot for Philly. And I think last time we played them and they used it, it didn't go too well. So hopefully they focused in on that. Heading into primetime Sunday night football, Bills and the Bengals. Big B has Bengals. Dave has the Bills. Tim, who do you got?
I've got the Bengals because I think the Bengals paid attention to that New England Patriots Bills game and got the blueprint on how you can beat the Buffalo Bills. And the thing is, the Bengals have more weapons than the Patriots did. This has a possibility of being not pretty. I think it's going to be a close game. Personally, I think this is probably one of the best games of the day outside of Philly, and well, I thought the
Yeah.
Miami game at this point. But yeah, I've got Cincinnati, and I think it's going to be a close game.
James?
Yeah, I agree with that. The thing is, I want to see how good Russell Douglas meshes with the Bills' defense. But the thing is, Cincinnati and Joe Burrow, they seem back. They seem like they used to be, where they're really good offensively. They make some key stops defensively. Hendrickson and the other guys up front doing it for the defensive line. They're really, really good for Cincinnati. So expect that to be a case. I know Josh Allen's a little banged up. We'll see how he does. Seems like he's having a little off year. I mean, they're 5-3, but it seems like they're a little bit worse than what they are. But Cincinnati right now, they're on the same. I mean, they're on the right trajectory finally. So I really like what Cincinnati's doing. They're getting hot right now. They have the jungle behind them. they beat them in the playoffs last year, remember? So there's that to remember about the Bengals. Hey, we've seen this team before. We beat them at their house, even in the conditions over there. Now we have them at home, prime time. Let's go after them and get them. So I'm going to go Cincinnati, but hopefully it'll be a fun, close one. We need that for a Sunday night one.
Yeah, we do. Both these teams are really good. I like both these teams, but I'm going with Buffalo, and I'll make it my lock.
Ooh.
I don't know. I feel like Allen may play well on prime time. Burrow's getting healthy though. Should be a good game. But we have to wait a long time to see that one. Hopefully it doesn't disappoint. Dolphins Chiefs games we're fixing to head into fourth quarter. Not yet, but a couple seconds. Brian saying about that Philly game, all Philly has to do is run up the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, they got some good running backs that they can use out of their disposal.
They're really. Yeah. They're really good at running the football, and hopefully Dallas can stop that. And then for Monday Night Football, we have the Chargers and the Jets. Big B has Jets. Dave has the Jets. James, who you got?
Man. Lock of the week, by the way, I think mine is Cleveland over Arizona. But, man, to this Monday night game, Herbert, his finger on the non-throwing hand doesn't seem to be an issue unless he goes from under center. But mostly everybody now does the shotgun, which was made up by the Jets back in the day with Joe Namath. But Josh Palmer will be out, the receiver for the Chargers, who they go to for big gains down the sideline, and he's going to be out. So Quentin Johnson, the rookie out of TCU, will have to step up. And I think everybody, the few that are Charger fans that I know, they've wanted to see him do well out of TCU. So see if that's the case. The Jets defense really, really good. So I want to see that. With Zach Wilson, I'm hoping they start fast against the Chargers and they get the running game going and Cook. We'll see what happens. Allen Lazard, though, might be out for the Jets, so hopefully they can run the ball better. I guess I'll go with the Jets, but, man, it's a game where you think the Chargers can hold on, but maybe the Jets, they kind of force some turnovers and the Chargers charge. That'd be hopefully a good thing to see. So I'm going to go with the Jets.
Tim?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what Herbert can do against the Jets passing defense. I think that's going to be the big matchup of the day. I think it's going to be good, but I think the Jets pass defense is just a little too much. And then you've got the other side of the ball where the Jets can't have been trash passing the ball, but yet the Chargers are trash at defense, pass defense. So this is basically you've got it's like opposite day. It's just weird. You just kind of hope that you can get away from everything like that. I like the Jets just because of their defense. You kind of want to hope that the Jets come out and put their foot on their throat early, keep it there, and decide to just use nitrous and just finish the game like a team should. I have a feeling this is going to be a close game, closer than it should be. But I've got the Jets. I'm kind of hoping the Chargers lose because if Indy wins and the Chargers lose, that means we go up a spot in the playoff ranking. So yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah, I'm going with the Jets too. And James, you haven't met that one Chargers fan yet that they showed on Monday Night Football?
I
That
don't see
one
any.
where she was that was excited and then had all the emotions of the fan.
I never see any.
No. Uh-huh.
I'm looking. I'm in LA too, and I don't see any.
No, it should be a fun game. We'll see how the Chargers do. I got the Jets. I don't know how close it's going to be. I hope it's a close game, but uh, I think Kellen Moore is thinking I should have stayed in Dallas, or they should have signed me again.
Yeah, I thought that the Charger offense would
Right?
be better. They'd be more spread out with Kellen Moore, but it's kind of been the same almost, where they've gone short. And I thought that would have been better with Kellen Moore. You would see obvious difference, but you haven't with the Charger offense somewhat. It's a little better this year, but not as good as I thought it would be.
That's all they really did in Dallas was shorter passes. I mean, once in a while he'll go long, you know, he'll take the deeper passes, but normally they're short. And Ryan's saying the Chargers will charger.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, well, he'll lose that game in Charger fashion.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully not, but hopefully it's a close game. I'm hoping it is. And that's our picks. You can, make the same picks or pick different ones, but those are what we got. And now it's time for the Prime Moose's Prime 5.
So, we all know how Josh McDaniel lost his job. It got me thinking about which coaches would be on the hot seat next, and it's awesome that the Monday night game we just had to pick was one that I figured I'd start off with their head coach. I thought, because I figured they'd be up a little further. I figured they'd be a little further down the road than what they are. They've seemed to not have taken that step forward. It's make that step to be a little more competitive against the Chiefs. My number 5 is Brandon Staley. I thought the Chargers would be contending a little bit more. Instead, they're playing mediocre football. I don't know if that's the Kellen Moore syndrome, but it is what it is. Another team that I thought would have been has done nothing but backslid the last 2-3 years is the Tennessee Titans. I think Mike Vrabel. I think you've got the weapons that you've had, and then you've got Derrick Henry, but yet you can't find a way to get further and further into the playoffs. Now you've just found yourself walking yourself out of the any playoff picture. I think that puts you squarely on a hot seat. Bacon, I'm going to apologize now for number 3. You have a coach that should be taking a team to the NFC Championship game, and they haven't been to the NFC Championship game since 1995. I think Mike McCarthy. I think the reason why something like that. I think the reason why Jerry Jones brought McCarthy in was because he has been to the championship game with Green Bay. I think, and you've done nothing. I think if you make an early exit again out of the playoffs, I think Mike McCarthy is going to be shown the door, and you might get lucky. You might get Kellen Moore to come back as your head coach next year at that point. Number 2, I think a guy who is better as a defensive coordinator. Knowing that he was in Indy, I thought he was a great defensive coordinator. I was upset that he left, but you can't tell a person to go better themselves. You can't tell somebody not to go better themselves. And you've seen what Chicago has done. I think Matt Eberflus is a better defensive coordinator than a head coach. I think he's punching above his weight class, and I think he needs to really think about going back and being a defensive coordinator. My number 1, I think, is pretty consensus. When you let Taylor Heineke leave and you let him go to Atlanta, I think you have shot yourself in the foot. I think honestly, when you've let your two of your biggest defensive players leave, the writing is on the wall that you are next out the door. I think by week 12, I think my number one is going to be out of a job. My number one is Ron Rivera.
Mm-hmm. If I could give some honorable mentions, Arthur Smith in Atlanta. I feel like the pressure's on him. The way that they've lost certain games, especially that game against Washington, there were a couple of quick decisions that kind of shake you right now. Quarterback, even Frank Wright in Carolina. I mean, he got stripped of his offensive playing calling duties, so I could see Frank Wright as well. Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay. Dennis Allen. I think that whole NFC South, Dennis Allen in New Orleans, if they don't get that right. Let's see. Rivera, no doubt.
I think you give LaFleur one more year because you got a new quarterback. Yeah. You don't let LaFleur go right away.
Although the pressure, the pressure there, it seems like it's more LaFleur than is Love, but I'm not sure if that's the case.
I think the pressure in Green Bay should be more on Gudenheist instead of LaFleur, their GM, because they could have easily went out and picked up a veteran quarterback. I think instead of putting all your eggs in one basket on Love.
In the AFC, Kevin Stefanski for Cleveland. I could see that maybe being a little change there. Belichick, of course. And then Sean McDermott, if the Bills don't go to the Super Bowl. I keep hearing about him. Let's see. Brandon Staley of the Chargers, no doubt. And then
they've been to a championship.
Yeah. Mike Vrabel, I feel like it doesn't matter what the team does. It's not really on him. You just know they're kind of changing their roster around. So it kind of feels like that situation with the Packers, where it's really not the coach, but it's just, getting rid of players and moving on. Not as deep as Washington, but it's right there.
Yeah, and I think some people want Belichick out too. Ever since.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got.
At least that's what
right
I've
now,
been hearing.
Got a golden ticket for a bit. I'd love to. Don't get me wrong. I'd love to see Belichick gone, but you got a guy who's just created almost a Yankees type dynasty in the NFL. So he's right now got a golden ticket for at least 2-3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, that's true. It's like
that's true too. You're right. That's true.
You used Cam Newton for a little bit.
Right there should get you fired. If you have to use Cam Newton, you have to use Cam Newton as a starting quarterback in the New England Patriots. That you're right. That should automatically be a firing. That should pull your golden ticket card.
The ending of anything great is always the toughest. Of how it dies out. It always seems like that. I remember the Bulls of the 90s, how that ended up being the way it was. It almost feels like this is a slow, painful death for the Patriots. It's just, it's what everybody wants to see. But it eventually was going to come. Eventually.
Exactly.
Yeah. So those are good, I guess, coaching moves that should happen. As we close out, any final thoughts?
Go for it, James. I'll let you.
No, real quick.
Go for it,
I was looking at I'm gonna enjoy today's games because on Thursday, it's Carolina, Chicago, and I'm gonna find something else to do.
That's going to be
Wow.
that's the number
That's
one
gonna be
pick
a-
bowl. What are you talking about? Jeez. I, we're officially calling Week 9 Trash Game Day. This is going to be some terrible football. This is the day if you like your alcohol, I would suggest you do it responsibly. Enjoy the football games and enjoy a game that you wouldn't normally watch. Like don't watch normally your team because you can get drunk. And it could be a bad day for you. Outside of that, watch us. Like Brandon said, Tuesday we got a new season. We our number one our first year is up, and for some reason somebody thought it was wise enough to renew our contract for C2C Rankum. I have to find a way to kiss that butt later. I took a pay cut, so I've gone from peanut M&Ms down to regular M&Ms because they export so easily from the United States. Outside of that, keep watching our great shows. And congratulations on your World Series champion Texas Rangers. They did it without steroids. They did it without the asterisk. They did it without stealing signs, and they beat a team that swept my team in the first round of the playoffs. So, awesome.
Hey, I mean, it could have been the best. It could have came down to 7 games, but it was a close series. But with that, everybody enjoy the games today. This Saturday we'll have Entertainment Hour replacing On Deck, talking movies, video games, TV. So a variety of entertainment stuff, and so tune in for that. A lot of great shows coming to the network. A lot of revamped shows. So stay tuned for that. Enjoy this Sunday.
I got a
and Monday
question.
Night Football.
I got a question.
Yeah.
I got a question. How many of these new shows are going to have Isaiah's fingerprints on them? Just out of curiosity.
None.
Oh,
None.
We make
Awesome.
sure that we say, if you don't know what this is, you're not going to be on here.
all right, good.
Right. So with that, enjoy your Sunday and Monday football. We'll be back next week with another for another morning tailgate. And with